Hi, this is The Business Guy. I'm the CEO of Asset Protection Planners and Lawyers Limited. We're the nation's largest asset protection firm. And today we're going to talk about protecting your real estate from lawsuits. Now, protecting real estate is a little bit different. When we protect cash from lawsuits, the strongest asset protection tool is an offshore trust, an international trust. The U.S. courts don't have jurisdiction over our offshore law firm, so you have the strongest asset protection you can have with the offshore trust, and you put the liquid assets into an international bank. So you have the liquid assets totally separated from the U.S. court's jurisdiction. Real estate, however, is located here. Even if you put it in some fancy schmancy trust, those assets are located right here in the U.S., and the U.S. court has jurisdiction over U.S. property. Whether it's cash in a bank, or real estate sitting on the ground somewhere, U.S. courts have jurisdiction over that real estate that is inside our borders. So what do? Here's what we do. But before we do, I'd really appreciate it if you could please click the like button below so YouTube promotes this video. I really appreciate it. And you can also click the subscribe button below and notification bell if you haven't already, so that when more videos come out like this one, you'll be up to date right away. So let's go ahead and take a look at the iPad, and let's take a look and see what we do when we want to protect real estate from lawsuits. Okay, so your personal residence is probably one of the most valuable assets that you own, or for most people, that's the most valuable asset they own. So with your personal residence, we really want to accomplish two main things. One, we want to provide privacy of ownership. Let's say you rear end somebody's car and they could potentially sue you for way more than your insurance covers, and that happens all the time. When a contingency fee lawyer is contacted by that person that you hit, the first thing they do is look in the public records to see what you own, to see if it's worth suing you. If they don't see anything, it's very unlikely they're going to take that case. Thing number two is we want to extract the value out of the property. We want to strip the equity out of that property so it makes your house very unattractive for somebody to take. So here's how we accomplish those two objectives. First of all, we take your house and we establish what's called a land trust. Now, a land trust is a document that allows you to own the property privately. So your home, you can own it in a land trust. You still keep all the tax benefits of home ownership, but the land trust allows you to own your property privately. So when the prying eyes look in the public records to see what you own, nothing shows up under your name because you have your properties in land trust. So that gives you the privacy of ownership. So privacy hiding alone is not a good asset protection strategy, because if they penetrate past it, what's hidden can be found, right? So if they penetrate past it, we still want to have some protection, and we want your asset protection plan to have some teeth. So what we do in this case, in addition to the land trust, is we do what's called equity stripping. So we take an LLC here, and we record an equity line of credit mortgage against your house. See? So that is recorded in the public records. In some states, it's a mortgage. Some states, it's a deed of trust. But it's associated with an equity line of credit promissory note. Promissory notes aren't recorded in the public records typically. Typically, only the mortgage or deed of trust is. So what it looks like from the people who are looking to sue you, it looks like it's just totally mortgaged to the hilt. So we put an equity stripping lien against the property, and then if needed, we get a third-party lender to come in and purchase this mortgage that we put against your property and put it into, like we talked about earlier, the offshore trust. So that way, everything in the U.S. has been stripped of its equity, and the value has been placed over yonder, overseas. So if we need to do that, we have a way to protect real estate. So even though this home here is under the U.S. court's jurisdiction, we've taken what's attractive in the property, the value, and we've extracted it out and put that into an international trust. So that's how we protect your home. The equity in the home is at first mortgaged by an LLC that you own privately, and then if needed, we get a third-party lender to purchase that mortgage and put the proceeds into a you can't touch it account overseas in your international asset protection trust. Putting your personal residence into an LLC could possibly harm your homeownership tax benefits. The tax benefits for homes that you live in, that's a separate tax bucket than the real estate that you hold as an investment. So let's go ahead and talk about real estate investment property. What do you do there? So for the real estate investment property, like this here, this house, or this apartment building, or duplex, triplex, fourplex, we put each piece of property into a land trust for privacy of ownership first. And the nice thing is the Garn-St. Germain Depository Institutions Act of 1982 said that you can take property and you can put it into a land trust, and the bank cannot invoke the due on sale clause. And that is if it is between 1 and 4 dwelling units, a place where you can live that's between 1 and 4 dwelling units. You can do that the bank can't raise a stink for it because the Garn St. Germain Act protects you. Now, I have to add also that none of this is considered legal advice. See an attorney for that. We have attorneys on staff. So this is for general information purposes only, and it is not meant to be legal advice for any individual. Okay, so what we do next is we take the land trust. You, as the beneficiary, assign your beneficial interest in the land trust to an LLC, a limited liability company. So what does that do? What that does is that can provide you asset protection. When somebody sues you personally, the LLC can shield you from losing your property. And number two, it can also provide lawsuit protection. If there's a lawsuit on the property itself, it can act as a shield to protect you from being sued personally because the lawsuit stops in that little cubby hole called the LLC. So that's a little cubby hole for each property. Each property is in a separate land trust, and each land trust is owned by a separate LLC. So you have the protection from lawsuits when you're sued personally. You have the protection if there's a lawsuit on the property itself. And that's the reason why we involve an LLC with investment property. Let's say there is a lawsuit associated with liability on the property itself. And again, somebody sues you for way more than your insurance covers, a slip and fall or something of that nature. We want to make sure that if it happens from inside that LLC, that they don't take the property away from that LLC. So what do we do there? Again, we do equity stripping. We take another LLC, and this can be a U.S. LLC or an international LLC, is what we most frequently use. And we can go ahead and record an equity line of credit mortgage. So there's no money changing hands. It's just an equity credit line payable to your own LLC. Then if needed, we have a third-party lender who can come in and purchase that mortgage and put the proceeds into your International Asset Protection Trust. So here are the things we're looking at to protect investment property. Number one, we want to give privacy of ownership. So if somebody looks in the public records to see what you own, they don't see anything. They don't see that you own anything. So you have the privacy of ownership. Number two, when somebody sues you personally, we want to make sure that they are not able to take the property away from you. The LLC can help provide that type of protection. We want to make sure if somebody sues on the property, that lawsuit stays in the property and doesn't jump out and affect your personal life. And also we want to protect the property itself from being taken away from you. And that's where the equity stripping comes in. So that's how we do it with investment property. Let's go ahead and take a look at the big picture here and put all these things together that we just talked about. So we have these properties here are investment properties. We'll draw a circle around them, okay? And this one right here is represents your personal residence. So each property is in a separate land trust. You see that? And each land trust has an LLC as its beneficiary. So you have the privacy of ownership through the land trust. Then you have the asset protection and lawsuit protection in your LLCs. And then you have your personal residence in a land trust without an LLC because we don't want to kill your home ownership tax benefits. And then we take an LLC. We typically form this internationally in the Caribbean island of Nevis, and that records equity stripping lines of credit against each property and your personal residence, because when somebody looks and they see that there's no equity in the property, it makes it very unattractive for somebody to sue you. And then again, because these equity lines of credit are payable to your own company, if the person suing you starts sniffing around and starts to ask you your association with the LLC, that's the point where we get the third-party lender in there to immediately snap up these mortgages and then place the proceeds in a you-can't-touch-it account in your offshore asset protection trust. And again, that's not money that you can run away with and spend until you sell it or you refinance it through a typical bank. But that's the big picture on how we protect real estate from lawsuits. So that's how you protect real estate from lawsuits. If you'd like to go ahead and protect your real estate from lawsuits, give us a call at 1-954-400-1050 or visit us at assetprotectionplanners.com. We're glad to help. You can speak with one of our attorneys or consultants. You can fill out a free consultation form on our website if you like. So I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time. Please like, subscribe, share this video. This is The Business Guy.